Hi there, Dr. Sonia here, and today I want to talk to you about a new product that I started to use. So I recently transitioned my Obturation system because, let's face it, I've been using it for over 10 years and it's time to update, and things just aren't working as well as they were 10 years ago. So I've had to transition my Obturation unit, and to be honest, every time I do transition anything that I do, I get a little pushed out of my comfort zone, and it takes me a few months, maybe 2 to 3 months, before I settle back into that new comfort spot. So if you feel that way, know that so do I. And I was definitely feeling that way with this shift from my old System B unit and my hotshot. This is what I was using for about over 10 years. And now I'm using the new system by KaVo Kerr. It's the Elements IC. And finally, I'm about 2 months in and I'm finally starting to feel like I have it under control. So before I go on to this, I want to just talk about some of my favorite features about the System B and the hotshot. So one main thing that you always want any obturation unit to have is controlled temperature, and the System B does that really well. So we recommend that we do it around 200, but you can also adjust this. You can go higher or lower, but what's recommended is 200. But I like having that temperature control because if you don't have one, let's say on a touch and heat, you don't know how hot that's getting, and if you overuse it, you could really overheat the tooth, and I have seen some people fry the PDL. So be careful when you're picking a unit like this. I really love the ergonomics of the handpiece of the System B. I think it's great because it's like a little pen. It feels really nice, and I feel like I can maneuver easily in the tooth. It is a bit heavy, so if you're not moving it from room to room, it's probably fine. So I would say the heaviness is a little bit clunky, but other than that, it really truly is a classic system. You can't go wrong, and the thing is still functioning for me over 10 years later. For my obturation, the backfill component, I use the hotshot. I like it because it is cordless. I would say the most classic system for the obturation backfill is probably the Obturagun. That is a corded unit, and that did not sit well with me. It didn't really go with the flow of my practice, so I switched to the hotshot. You can use any gutta percha pellet that you like in this, and I personally love the Obtura pellets. I'm not even sure if they make them anymore, but I love them because of the radio opacity it gave me in my x-ray, and also the flow and the packability, the compressibility that it gave. I felt like I got a really dense fill. When this material comes out of the gun, it's actually, you have to use this gun motion, and I would say that that motion is the thing that I don't miss about this unit. It really takes a lot on your arm sometimes, and so it's not as ergonomic of a unit as these guys that I'm going to show you. But the tips are nice. The tips are a little bit expensive, so once these tips break, then you have to move on to another tip, and that's probably where the expense comes in really for this unit. But they're nice because you can actually swivel them, and you can get a nice small tip, a 23 gauge, so it can go pretty deep in the canal. And then this tip gets hot, so if you just leave it in the canal a little bit for a few seconds, it'll kind of soften up the top of the down pack so that your backfill can really coalesce nicely in the canal, and you can pack it in together and you don't have any voids. So the hotshot is great because it's cordless, but you do have to use a lot of force in order to extrude the material out of the gun. So now we have the KaVo Kerr Elements IC, and it's nice because I didn't have to get new tips. So if you're using a System B, the downpack portion actually accepts the same tip, so you can use that. So that's a way to conserve some money. But it's nice. Again, there's temperature control on it. It'll go to 200, and the activator is just simply this little white ring. And again, it's very ergonomic. I would say the only thing that I really had to get used to was the bulk of the handpiece versus the System B. That was probably the hardest, but now I'm getting used to it and it's totally fine. The next is the backfill component of the Elements IC. Again, the handpiece is a little bit thick, but again, I'm not making that that trigger motion, and it actually is a lot more ergonomic for me. I love the flexibility of these tips. These are really nice. You can bend it anywhere, and they only need to last for as long as the gutta percha lasts. So the expense comes in with this unit with the fact that you have to buy certain gutta percha. You can't just take anything that you want and put it in. You have to buy their gutta percha, so that's where the price goes up. But again, if you're not bending those expensive tips and having to throw those out, then it's probably, you know, it offsets the cost of the other one. So these are just really nice. And again, you can get different gauges. You can get different flowability of your gutta percha as well. So a really nice unit, but my favorite part is the ergonomics of this unit. So that's my take. I think that both systems are really great, but this is definitely a lot easier on my arm. So I hope those tips help you in making your decision for an obturation unit. And make sure you comment below with any questions.